Okay, let's call the meeting in order. Roll call.
All right. We'll begin with the reading of the OPMA. On February 1st, 2022, notice of this meeting was posted to the official Bellmawr Redevelopment Agency website and emailed to both the Courier Post and Gloucester City News newspapers for publication. The official notice to the Borough Clerk was emailed on February 2nd, 2022, which included a request for publication of the notice to the official Borough Bellmawr website and bulletin board. All requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been met in compliance with the Sunshine Law. With the flag salute, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
Liberty and justice for all.
All right, with roll call, Chairman Philipek,
Here.
Vice Chair Ryder,
Here.
Commissioner D'Angelo,
Here.
Commissioner Kapados, Commissioner Whitman,
Here.
Commissioner Patel,
Here.
Commissioner Simpson, Management Professionals, Executive Director Josh Tregear. I am here, Agency Solicitor Mike McKenna.
Present.
And Engineer Dennis McNulty. Dennis, you hear me? I got you on the roll call. All right, yeah, I motioned. I got you. All right, he's here. Okay, so standard agenda for this evening. We'll begin with the reading of the minutes from the reorganization meeting, January 31st, 2022.
I make a motion we approve the minutes.
I second it.
All right. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Brings us to communications, redevelopers report. We did receive that report from the redeveloper for February 2022, which Solicitor McKenna will review. I was in contact with Mark Roth, the traffic engineer, and coming off of that DOT meeting just before or a couple weeks before the reorganization meeting, he hopes to get a few more clarifications back. So to use the word of the day, a more robust report in March he will submit for us. So brings us to the commissioner reports. If anybody has anything, please feel free to speak up. All right, that brings us to the executive report. Key items, continuing with the Edmonds transition. 2020 is now done, just validating that with Edmonds, and then 2021 we'll have done by the 15th. Latest plan or schedule, I've been talking to Bowman. They seem to be through their issues internally as far as attrition and getting back on the stick as and making some progress with us. So they have said that they will absolutely have it done for the March meeting. That would be the audit 2019. And then from there, we can roll into the outstanding reports, which a plan and a schedule was included in my executive director's report, which will satisfy the reports through the end of this year. And then administratively, just following up with the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs required courses for being a commissioner. Jim, thank you for jumping on that and getting registered so quickly. So, you know, with that, we are complete, I believe. I'm going to validate that, but I think we will have a fully educated group on paper anyway. But just kidding, Phil. But no, thank you so much for getting that done, because I know it's not, you know, it's not fun.
Not fun.
And I know, right? And then with the public notices were done in terms of compliance, posting the temporary budget for 2022, and then along with the 2022 regular meeting schedule. Any questions from me before I turn it over to Solicitor McKenna? All right, Mike.
Yes, thanks, Josh. Folks, we do have a February 2022 redeveloper report that we ought to treat as a 2-month report, since they were not able to get it to us before our reorganization meeting. And candidly, we had a pretty full plate of reorganization in any event. So by all means, take a look at these at your leisure. I'm going to hit the highlights, because they are pretty much chock full of I guess two things. One is it shows you how many different fronts have to be continually pushed in order to advance this project. It's not linear. It's more like we're surrounded and we're constantly expanding the circle. But the summary that starts at the top tells us that we are just about done. Essentially, all remediation, except for ongoing testing and monitoring, at the site that would precede development. And that has to do with what's going on there right now, which is the grading being done with the stockpiled soil on site under the auspices of the NJDEP, with our professionals following, both from the agency and from council. So that is scheduled basically to be done within the next couple of weeks. And that's going to trigger a lot of different things, but in particular, move us closer to getting to the closing. So it's good that that has happened. Your constituents might from time to time be telling you or asking you, hey, what's going on out there? And the answer has been, and pretty soon won't be anymore, that we're spreading the topsoil that has been out there this entire time waiting for approval of the final pre-development grades. So Title's update, again, this has been glacial in its process, but that's just the way the bureaucracy works. We've got one more signature we need on these grants, and that is the Secretary of State. And once the Secretary signs off, it transmits the grants to us. We, as the future owners, will have a really solid, definite, and specific description of our Tidelands grants for the property that, should we ever decide to sell, will make it so much easier to sell because we'll know where they are. And we'll also have what's called site sweep grants, which include anything that isn't mapped. Any claims of the state anywhere on this property that have to do with Tidelands are extinguished and are now our property. And we'll have that as well. And for that, the redeveloper will get to pay some $950,000 as soon as they hear about that final signature hitting the screen. There's lots of things going on with respect to the redevelopment process, but most of it's documentary, and we continue to work on that. One of the things that the redeveloper is pushing with our insurance council, not theirs, but ours, is the required insurance for environmental issues. We've never had it on the parcel that we own. We not only want it on all parcels, but we want it on the West Effort parcel as well, in the amount that we've agreed upon. They have posted a $1 million security bond that has to do with potential closure exposures. Next up is Green Acres. Sequentially, we had to wait on, before going after Green Acres approvals until we had the Tidelands at hand. We have that now. And again, on the redeveloper's dime, they have to process the application for Green Acres. It's not just for this site, however, I should point that out. But they've got a lot of work to do to get their Green Acres approvals, because it's a whole different application process. Some engineering, some surveying, but some of what they're doing for us had to do with some, candidly, some negotiating back and forth to use some of the excess area on our to-be owned site to offset some, let's just call it some sins of the past, not related to the BWD project. They're doing that on their dime with the property that they presently own, and candidly, there's a lot of credit can get spread around on that. But the truth is, we really needed that. I don't know where we would have got the excess ground otherwise. And Steve Bach, our engineer, is following all of that, as is Mr. Long, because principally the Green Acres is a point of the spear is council, NJDOT. There's lots going on there. I think there was a large meeting with a fair number of our representatives, council. Frank, I think you may have been able to get to that. I couldn't because it was on short notice. Josh,
yeah, I was on it.
But in short, that's moving along. We continue to receive confirmation that we're going to have it the way we want it, and we have that from our own engineer. So in short, all of our representatives are pushing to keep things on track and to keep it the way we want it. The engineering summary is pretty much the same fronts of progress that we see almost every month, but now we're moving closer to having to do some of these things like the waterfront development. The site remediation will be done. DOT, typically we've just been pushing that action to keep things the way they've been promised to us. But now we're starting to see that some of the agencies that are going to need approvals for the beginning of improvements, such as the CCMUA, various utilities, all of them are beginning to come on board. So public approvals, there remain many. The Thailands isn't quite done. The Green Acres, as I mentioned, the DEP, site remediation, all of those are nearing the end or moving into the next phase. The one thing I did want to point out is under Roman numeral 6 sub G, Deptford is finally becoming more energized towards the project and, finalizing, I should say, their redevelopment processes, which aren't as, detailed as ours. Quite simply, they just have to do a redevelopment plan, sanction our redeveloper as theirs. But pretty soon we're going to have to start talking, and I think this is being set up right now through, principally through the council's good offices. We're going to have to start talking about a joint services agreement, since we are going to be required to provide the services to this property, even though it is in Deptford. So we're going to have to negotiate a joint services agreement. We're no stranger to that. Josh has provided Mr. Long with a fiscal impact study that detailed in every conceivable way what it could possibly cost us incrementally to add Deptford's parcel to our parcel, whether it's police, utilities, fire protection, and everything. And that will be the basis for some discussions going forward with how to monetize that with Deptford. Deptford's sole goal here is not to have to do much with this property. I'm not criticizing. You can't say you can't blame them. They just want to know that at the end of the day, it won't cost them anything, and that there's something in it for the people of Deptford, which is what Deptford officials should be looking out for. And I think pretty soon, Mayor Souter is going to be meeting with their folks, and it may or may not be that we'll go there with them, either Josh, myself, the chairman, or in some combination. I did attend the initial such meetings with Mayor Souter, and the more the merrier. Chuck and I show up, and Deptford had like 15 people there. So they were getting educated to what we had already been through. But I think that more is better in this case, and that very first meeting with Deptford ought to have some representation there.
Mike,
Yes, sir.
excuse me.
Yes, sir.
I would appreciate if Jimmy and Ray would attend, because they're from our, and they're also councilmen, and they know what's going on. They can bring it back.
That makes a lot of sense. And
Yeah,
you know what?
certainly
That makes a lot of sense. And it's not like we're just ganging them up with numbers. Members of the governing body are also full, stakeholders here. So that makes a lot of sense. As long as we can stay away from our quorum issues, and that's easy with a big agency. So I like that. I'll ask, actually, I don't have to ask Howard. Those are his folks as well as mine. Howard should make sure that if both are willing to attend, that we loop them into scheduling. These are, when you start scheduling that many people for a meeting, it usually takes a little while to schedule, but we should definitely make sure, and I will, I'll make a note of it, make sure that Howard loops those two folks in there as well. Frank, I think you'd like to at least be given the opportunity to attend.
Sure.
Josh,
Jim, are you Ray? Jim, you and Ray interested?
Yeah, I mean, that would be fine as long as it doesn't interfere with anybody else. Sure.
Okay.
No, I mean, you're councilman also. This is double bank for both, for the town and also for us.
Yeah.
And it also showed power that we have.
No, I
That would
agree.
be
I think
fine.
there's some stroke in having the dual roles present between the agency and the council. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Scroll back to letter D a minute.
Pardon me, say again, right? Oh, I see. To letter D.
Yeah, the park, where we are.
Well, the Green Acres approval has to precede finalization of the park plan. It would make no sense for us to finally engineer the park and then have Green Acres mess it all up on us. So with their green light, no pun intended, that plan is going to be more or less ready for submission to us after Green Acres gives its approval. Green
My
Acres approval is
concern
critical
is,
to our park plan.
can anything be done there prior to the completion of the roads?
Oh,
Oh, yeah, the
sure,
park's the
Well-
first thing that's going to be done.
sure.
If there's access to get to it.
Well,
Well,
that's what
it's
they're
gonna be-
working on with DOT.
Yeah, but I do believe there's going to be some nature of interim access. All the plans I've seen allow for that well in advance of connector road type deals.
Got it.
Yeah, the last
My
plan I saw
concern.
is based upon utilizing the existing driveway cut that's just beyond Dead Man's Curve where the old ecological center is, and that would
Right.
provide the interim access to the park area and then the trail.
Okay.
You okay with that, Ray?
Yeah, if it ever materializes.
Well, Ray, it's going to materialize. I think the redeveloper's ready to go. They're just waiting for Green Acres now, and we had to wait for Tidelands.
But the pace, I mean, surely I'm an impatient guy. I like to see things happen and fast. The pace is difficult in terms of, maddeningly slow, but this is the nature of this type of beast. And that's why I'm forever pushing for these types of reports, because I want to know what has happened, not what's going to happen. I want to know what happened in the last 30 days. And I'm seeing the progress. I'm sort of a pushing force on Redevelopers Council, because I know you all want to see, finite milestones getting approached. And that's where we are with the, passing Tidelands. We knew we couldn't do Green Acres until Tidelands was done. And that's why I'm instantly looking to see that Green Acres, when the engineering's finished for it, that includes a pretty lengthy survey that to date couldn't be done because of Tidelands. That's next up. It's a big surveying job. And, those are really old surveys that are out there. But that's up next. And, I know that we got to deliver the goods on this park, because that's the first finite tangential evidence we have that is not dependent on business or roads or anything. We're going to have a park before we have anything.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to know because of the road access.
Yeah. Fair question. So actually, I think there's not much more to say. There's all this usual business we talk about with project timelines and all of that, but it's sequential. And the next thing up is Green Acres. Now, some things will be running on parallel paths, like, site work, design, and whatnot. But principally, what we need to do now is get the Green Acres approval and then get to a closing. We will not go to closing unless and until we report to our respective council and our agency that, in our view, as solicitors, we feel it's ready. We'll explain how and why, but we're going to both want specific authority from both of our respective agencies to green light to go to a closing. And we're not there yet.
Hey, Mike.
There won't be any questions that are unanswered.
Mike,
Yes, sir.
I also heard from the senators from New Jersey, Green Acres is not going to be a problem once they get to it.
Well, thus far, all the signs have really been positive, including their amenability to allowing the redeveloper to help us with those diversions.
All right.
That was a potential roadblock, but everything I'm hearing is that you all are doing the Lord's work in the back channels, because it sounds very positive. But again, you still got to do the work.
The good
Just
thing
like
about
the
the whole thing is the state's very happy that the Borough of Bellmawr working with the redevelopment and the redevelopers, and we all work together, and we're all there for a common good for the citizens.
Yeah.
So that's working out real well.
Agreed. So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman, members.
Thanks, Mike.
All right. Any questions for Mike before I move to new business? All right. Thank you, Mike. Hey, Mike, too, I don't know if you just want to touch on that. You reviewed the contract, we have a resolution on tonight on the agenda for the execution of the consultant contracts.
I don't believe that they are all reviewed. It's my expectation that those that I have reviewed are those that are on. I cannot see behind the resolution. What do you have?
I believe that we were just waiting on their signatures for addendums, I believe.
Exactly. The marching orders are that they have to reflect exactly the RFP and the form of contracts from last year, which obviates the need for me to line and verse every single page of some of these extensive contracts. What we really need here is to authorize signatures upon my completion of review.
Right.
So we're asking that Josh be authorized to do the signing when I've finished the review and made sure that they exactly mirror the contracts from last year, updated only as to personnel and the RFPs that would have made any changes. I actually think they matched all their numbers from last year.
Yeah, no, I don't believe
I'm
anything.
doing that by memory, but the truth is they'll have to match their RFPs. That was the basis for the award last month.
Right.
And these are, just to remind everybody, these are the professionals from last year that were vetted by both agencies, council and our folks. So there have been no changes, either in economic terms or in personnel. So that first resolution is to authorize Josh to
Right.
sign.
And again, that's, and the actual resolutions included in that email, the materials. So this is just, the description. So if it leaves a little be desired on exactly what that is, I apologize, but it's exactly what Mike had detailed. And also excuse the typo, please. With that, this one will be a roll call. So resolution number 02:021-22, authorizing execution of the professional consultant contracts for calendar year 2022. Authorization for me to execute upon Mike's review and approval. So just need a motion.
I make a motion.
Right. Second.
I second it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Whitman. Do a roll call. Chairman Philippek,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bider,
Yes.
Commissioner D'Angelo,
Yes.
Commissioner Whitman,
Yes.
Commissioner Patel.
Yes.
All right. Resolution number 02:022-22, authorizing payment of outstanding bills.
I make a motion.
I second it.
Right. Again, it's financial. So we'll do a roll call. Chairman Philippek,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bider,
Yes.
Commissioner D'Angelo,
Yes.
Commissioner Whitman,
Yes.
Commissioner Patel.
Yes.
All right, gentlemen, that concludes new business, brings us to the public portion. Again, I do not see anybody on the portal, but I'll allow for a 3-second delay just in case.
Well, you do that, Josh. I want to apologize to our august body here. I did not mean to stop video. I wasn't being mysterious. I just noticed my video was off. So I've been here. I didn't.
No problem. No problem.
Sorry about that, guys. I even have a tie on.
All right, well, somebody would have chimed in by now, so that will conclude public portion. And that will bring us to a meeting adjournment. Before we do that, like we said, the next meeting will be Tuesday, March 15th, again at 5 p.m. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting, Josh.
I think I heard Ray on the motion. Is that
Yeah,
right,
We'll
Ray?
let him have it.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And then, Neil, if you would like to second it, by all means.
Okay, I'll second it.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any
Aye.
nays? No, the ayes have it. Thank you, gentlemen.